Let's talk drugs.
Yes.
Dr. Kelvin,
Very
but
much.
it was great
By
to
the way,
see you
how
on
are you?
Saturday night.
Oh, I mean, I'm very well. I'm very, very well.
See, shit.
I mean, that's Dr. Kelvin. How was Saturday night for you?
It was interesting. I mean, as I was saying, I'm a neutral, so I was enjoying the match, and the atmosphere was brilliant on top of the roof of City. It was amazing. I wish Liverpool had won, though. You know, just
I mean-
just to bring some diversity to the trophy.
So, I mean, some of us, we didn't really care. We came to party, you know. We came for a party.
Oh yes, I mean the food was great.
Awesome. Right, Dr. Kelvin, so now let's look at drug abuse. So we are asking the question, do you abuse over-the-counter medicines? Let's start from over-the-counter medicines, just so we know exactly what we are talking about. What are these drugs?
Well, so technically they are common drugs that you don't need a prescription to buy. You can just walk into any pharmacy or any chemical seller and then just ask for them, you know. But it's just that in Ghana, we need to be careful. You see, so in preparing for this session, I was actually researching and reading about over-the-counter policy in Ghana. And I went through a long list of medications that are supposed to be over-the-counter. And it will interest you to know that not a single antibiotic is on that list.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And we buy
No,
antibiotics easily
wait,
like
wait,
that.
wait. Are you
I
serious?
didn't say it though.
Are you serious?
Oh, I mean, from a consumer's point of view.
No. So
Exactly.
So you are saying that amoxicillin is not on the list.
It's not an over-the-counter
It's
medication.
not an over-the-counter medication.
Not even tetracycline.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
not-
So
Topae.
amoxiclav. I mean, just say none of those.
You know, not a single antibiotic, not even the old ampicillin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They are not.
I've
They are
forgotten
Yeah, I
about
know,
that.
right? I'm pissed.
They are not over-the-counter medication.
So what happened?
That is the question. So you see, and I like how David actually introduced that thing. You know, when we talk about drug abuse, people think about the person, you know, going across to the
Sniffing
to the
glue
dark-
and those type of
exactly,
things,
And
yeah.
you know, that's not what we are talking about today. Like you rightly said, almost everybody in Ghana is abusing some form of medication as we speak.
Yeah.
You know, because the mere fact that you walked into the pharmacy and you purchase, first of all, you shouldn't even be able to purchase an antibiotic over the counter. You know, but the mere fact that you were able to purchase over the counter and you went ahead to take the medication, it means that you yourself, you are abusing drugs. So you are, when we talk about drug abusers, you are one of them.
You should be jailed.
Yes, you should be.
So what can you buy, you know, over the counter?
So simple things like pain medication, paracetamol, for instance, you can buy over the counter. Malaria medication, you can buy over the counter because malaria is very prevalent here, so it's been put in the category of over the counter. So and if you go to a correct pharmacy, they're actually supposed to test you before they give you the malaria medication. So even though it's over the counter, there's still one step you should go through before you get the malaria medication. But again, you and I know that majority of people are buying malaria medication without, you know, doing
Because they
any
have sent
testing.
the person who doesn't have malaria to go and buy for the one who has malaria who's at home.
Exactly.
I think you have sent somebody.
So the various creams, gels, that you use to rub the pain off your body, all those are over the counter. You know, multivitamins, you know.
Contraceptives?
Contraceptives are over the counter as well,
Okay.
and both the regular ones and then the emergency ones are over the counter.
Okay.
You know, but not the injectables. So
Okay.
anything that you inject cannot be purchased over the counter. Should not be purchased over the counter. You know, let me not say cannot. Should not
Yeah.
be
Okay.
purchased over the counter. You know, so the simple things to hold the fort or to stand in the gap whilst you prepare yourself to move from where you are
To the
a
clinic
health
or
to the
facility.
health. Exactly. That's what over-the-counter medication is supposed to do. So ORS, for instance, should be over-the-counter because when the child is having diarrhea, you want to give that child ORS
As an
before
emergency.
before you even get to the hospital. You see, so all these are over-the-counter medications. But anything that you inject is not over-the-counter. Antibiotics are not over the counter, and when it comes to pain medication, any pain medication above a certain level. So, for instance, you shouldn't be able to buy a certain level of tramadol over the counter. You know, there's a certain level that will be given to you over the counter, but beyond a certain point, you need a prescription to help you to get it. You know, so it's something that the pharmacists and the hospitals or the health sector have been dealing with for a long period of time. And you know, even there's even a bigger industry, a bigger over-the-counter industry where there's no counter at all, which is the Trotro pharmacy.
And these days they actually sell like orthodox medicine
Yes.
in In churches.
It's not these days.
Well, okay.
They've always been doing it. And you know, there are also open markets under the scorching sun where you go there and you have all kinds of antibiotics and painkillers all put together. So you actually have to even go through and look at what you are looking for and give.
And you'll be surprised to know that some of them are expired medication, you know, and some of them are also inactivated because the condition, the direct sunlight actually inactivates the thing. So basically, you're just wasting your money.
I mean, it says don't keep in direct sunlight.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's in the sun. It's
Cool
been
in the
out
dry-
for
keep
3
them in a
months.
dry, cool place.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you now stretch it, there are also people in the herbal space who also put some of the orthodox medication in whatever concoction they are doing. You know, so if you're and typically you find this this is morning TV, so I always have to be, you know, but
They measure. No, but this is very serious.
yes, especially those herbal medication preparations that claim to be aphrodisiacs.
Yeah.
There was actually a research done, and they actually discovered that some of them actually contained sildenafil.
Which
What's
is
that?
basically Viagra.
Viagra.
But the Viagra was actually added to the concoction. You
People
see?
can.
Do
People
you
are
understand?
dying.
So that when they say it's potent, it's actually because they've added something extra to it. It's
Exactly.
not the herbal thing that's potent.
Exactly. In the same way,
You see
some of
that-
the
you see the
some of the
problem.
medication that supposedly was to cure malaria had malaria medication in there, you know. So I mean, there's a whole lot going on. I mean, the regulators really have a huge task, you know, to try and bring everything under control. You see,
And Doc, what about people go and buy certain drugs and they're not using them for its intended purpose? They're rather using them for the side effects.
So okay, so let me. It's not exactly a new concept,
Yeah.
because even in orthodox medicine, we actually use some medication not for the main purpose,
Okay.
but
But for
for
the
its
side effect.
side effect.
Like what?
Oh, I mean, case in point, even Viagra.
Sildenafil,
yeah,
right?
Viagra was the primary function of Viagra was actually, I think it was to treat a hypertension-related condition, right? And then as the side effect that was noticed was that it actually helped with men with erectile dysfunction, you know. So then they decided to now market it as a treatment for erectile dysfunction, which is why if you are not prescribed before you are prescribed Viagra, there needs to be a proper screening to make sure that you don't have other conditions, because if you have whatever the original intention was, and then you take it, or you don't have it and you take it, you can have a complication that was not supposed to be there. You see, so every medication has side effects. Another case in point, there's something this antihistamine called Piriton,
Yeah.
which makes you drowsy.
Yeah.
Some people use it to help them sleep.
To sleep, yeah.
But
Yeah.
the sleepiness is actually a side effect. You see,
Yeah.
so that is why if you are taking Piriton, nobody will tell you take Piriton in the morning.
Yeah.
Because obviously
Take
you are
it in
going
the
to
night.
operate heavy
Yeah.
machinery.
Yeah.
You know, so even though the main aim is an antihistamine to help prevent reaction to something,
Some
you cannot
allergies.
take it in the morning, because if you are going to go to work and you are driving and you are drowsy, I mean, you are a menace on the streets.
And people
Yeah.
are taking Cytotec.
Exactly, you know, so and they are not even taking the Cytotec right. I mean, I remember a funny episode that happened one time I was at work on a Sunday of all days, and then
I like that.
a young lady
You know
comes
Cytotec?
in. A young lady comes
You know
in.
Cytotec, you know Viagra.
No.
You know you're a suspect. You are a drug abuser.
You don't know that I'm a biochemist.
Hey,
So
oh no,
here
no.
in this place
Then
for
no,
America-
then you bring
Yeah,
the biochemist
No, I mean,
stuff.
I for talk that thing. So say people go no say yeah.
Don't take that drug for the side
school
effects
here,
use.
boy.
So this lady comes in with I mean, severe low abdominal pain,
Yeah.
and you know there's a mantra in medicine: if you are fertile, the first diagnosis is a diagnosis of exclusion. When you come in, it's pregnancy until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
So when she came in, young lady, fertile means you are within the reproductive
Reproductive
age.
age.
Obviously, my first intention was this girl is pregnant. Let's make sure that it's not an ectopic. You know, so do examination. It doesn't make sense. So then you have to look under there. You look there, and then there are these two white pills sitting there, and you're like,
Oh.
so why didn't you just say it? Then we know what we are doing. Say, I didn't know you looked there. What do you mean I didn't know I looked there? Anyway, so yes, I mean, these are not medication you should be able to buy over the
Yeah.
counter,
Yeah.
because if not used right, you could end up with a rupture. You know, I'm talking specifically with respect to Cytotec.
Yeah.
It's because if it's not taken at the right time, there's a time frame when Cytotec is useful. There's a time frame beyond which you shouldn't use that one. Or if you're going to use it, you're using it for a different purpose.
Okay.
You see, because we use Cytotec even during the delivery process itself. You know,
Okay.
so you need to know what you are doing. If you don't use it right, you can end up with a complication that you never even anticipated. And then now, just because you're trying to avoid an unwanted pregnancy, you end up without a womb anymore.
Yeah.
You see, so there are complications that we can avoid by not taking unapproved over-the-counter medication. Of course, the problem also begins from the per our culture, first of all. When people are sick, their first point of call is not the health practitioner.
Yeah.
Most people, their first point of call will be the elder in their family, you know, which is not necessarily a bad thing if that elder actually knew what to do. But unfortunately, many of our elders are not as enlightened in that regard, you know, so they end up giving advice that is not helpful.
Yeah.
You know, some people, their first point of call is the religious, you know,
Yeah.
strike hierarchy. You know, that time wasting does not help. Those that seem to know a bit better, their first point of call tends to be the pharmacy, or worst case, their friend, you know. And there are some, I've encountered so many people who went to their friend and actually collected their leftover medicine. Oh, you have headache. Oh, me when I had headache, this is what they gave me, so go and take it and let's see. So you waste another 2-3 days taking your friend's leftover medication, you know, so that by the time you actually get to where you need to be, it's either too late, or you've actually spent so much money that now you actually don't have money to pay for what needs to be done now.
Yeah.
You see, and it's a major problem. So it's because of the socioeconomic situation we find ourselves in, people end up wasting, or should I say, spending money unnecessarily on things that there's already a solution for. You see, if you actually just reported at the hospital, you might have ended up spending far less, you know, than you have spent cumulatively, which is a major problem.
So for instance, if I have a headache, okay, or if I feel I have a bit of malaria, I go to the hospital.
But that's the thing. How do you what does a bit of malaria mean?
No, a bit of malaria means that as a you know, as a bit no, I'm saying something. No, listen to my question first. I'm not even looking at the malaria aspect.
Yeah.
So that was just an example. So okay, so I don't feel well. I go to the hospital, okay, and I'm given maybe artesunate. And I come home, I take my artesunate. After like 4 days, I realize that I'm still not really. Can I go back to the pharmacy to buy more artesunate and continue for like another 2 days or 3 days? Or I have to go back to the hospital, you know? So what's the, because this one, the medicine was given to me at the hospital. So can I just continue for a few more days?
So let me still pick on the malaria, because malaria is a classic example. Now, first of all, the symptoms that we attribute to malaria is not only a feature, it's not peculiar to malaria.
Yeah.
In fact, some research was done in Accra, and it shows that the commonest cause of fever is viral.
Okay.
So they actually did a study, and they realized that the commonest cause of malaria in Accra is not malaria. It's viral in origin, you know. But the symptoms are similar. So if you think you come and sit in front and say, I have malaria, then I'm like, what do you mean by you have malaria? And half the time you do the test and it's not malaria. Yeah. But you see, this person might have spent 2 weeks consuming malaria medication. You see, so it's a problem. But yes, you came to the hospital. The question is, was a test done to confirm that you had malaria or not? A lot of people, even in the hospital, like I said, hospitals are not immune from the culture that we are all part of. So sometimes you go to hospital, they don't run any tests. Somebody just presumptively treats you for malaria. But whether you had malaria or not, we actually don't know.
But why is it that sometimes when you take the malaria medication, you feel better?
Well, the thing is, viral infections are mostly self-limiting. Okay. So whether you actually treat or you don't treat it, it will go away by itself. I mean, let's take common cold, for instance. Yeah. Whether you take medicine or you don't take medicine, it will take 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
You understand? So most of the time, the medicine you are taking is to treat the symptoms. So some paracetamol for the headache, you know, a bit of antihistamine for the nose, the running nose, or the watery eyes. There's no specific treatment, because whether I treat or you don't treat, will go. So you may have taken malaria medication, which, you know, sort of coincided with the thing going anyway. So you say, yes, my malaria has, or the malaria medicine has worked. But we never knew whether I had malaria in the first place. So you take the malaria medication, you are not getting well. You should actually go back to the hospital.
Okay.
And it's a problem, a major problem we have in our culture, where people never return to the hospital. They always go to a different place. So you come here, they treat you for A, then you go to a different place because the A didn't work. You go back to you go to a different place and they start something else. So so first we are wasting money on registration fees and consultation fees. Whereas if you had gone to the same clinic that you went to, you would have gotten the service cheaper, because now there's no registration. And now because they know that per your record, we've treated you for malaria and it didn't go, let's look at other things and see. So you're actually likely to get better service if you went to the same place for a review. You understand? Rather than going to a different place. So it's something that it will take some time, but we really need to do a lot more work educating people on the need to go back for a review. Even when you are well, you need to go back, because from the experience or the what do you call it? The good results we got from treating you, it will help me treat the next person even better.
Okay.
You see, but because we don't get feedback on our services, it's difficult. The same mistakes will be made on the next person as well. So feedback is key, even in our health practice. Very, very important.
So we have a couple of questions here. Mamisi in Pram is asking, please ask Dr. Owusu for me if it's okay. My 24-year-old keeps buying OTC drugs to help ease her cramps. She has terrible cramps.
So let me start by saying it's not okay. It's not okay that I've been having cramps. You see, because cramps is not part. It's yes, yes. The cramps are the way for the uterus to get the menstruum out. You see, because when the cramps are is the uterus contracting.
Yeah.
But every woman has cramps.
Yeah.
Every person who has a womb has cramps.
Yeah.
You know, so why are you allowing the thing that everybody has to cause you so much discomfort? The point I'm trying to make is that it's possible that there's a solution for whatever you're going through.
Okay.
So let's find out, why are you having such terrible
Severe
cramps?
cramp. Okay.
What is the reason?
Okay.
And then once you know the reason, then we can give you definitive treatment for that particular reason.
Okay.
So that you don't need to go and be buying over-the-counter drugs. Because let's take a medication like the NSAIDs, that's diclofenac, what's
Ibuprofen,
yes,
yeah.
all those NSAIDs. And then it interests you to know that all the combinations that also have NSAIDs. So all the newer medications like APC, what are they?
Buscopan.
Buscopan is not.
Buscopan
What about
Buscopan is
FPAC?
actually not a painkiller, but yeah.
What about
FPAC
Really?
also-
But Buscopan is not painkiller?
no, it's not.
So when you have cramps, you can take Buscopan.
It's an antispasmodic. It's not a painkiller. But even then, it's for the, what do you call it? The gut. What's the English name for gut?
The
When I say
alimentary
gut, I mean,
canal.
well, no, that's not English. I've been taking I've been wasting
said
this.
alimentary
Dr. Kelvin, can
The
you speak in
intestine,
simple
the
language so that I can understand?
Alimentary canal.
I'll look for the intestine.
Alimentary canal. I told you the school, no? I told you.
Educate me.
So find out why your cramps are so terrible, and then let's deal with that cause. So I was saying that, so when you take the NSAIDs, a complication of chronic NSAID use is ulcer. So already, you see, by our daily life activity and spending tons of hours in traffic, stress already puts you at risk of ulcer.
Yeah.
And then you compound that predisposition by taking NSAIDs. So you are literally saying, ulcer, come for me, nearer to you I draw.
But hold on.
Wow.
So is a bit of cramps, a bit of discomfort normal with menstruation? Or you shouldn't experience pain at all?
So I mean, let me say that pain is a very subjective experience.
Yes.
You know, so the same amount of pain people would have different levels of response to the same amount of pain. Ultimately, it is up to you to decide that this pain I'm feeling, I shouldn't be feeling it. Or let me put it a better way, the pain you are feeling for menstruation should not disrupt your normal daily activity. You see, so if your menstrual cramps is causing you to miss school or miss work, that's not acceptable. You know, you shouldn't.
And you need to see a doctor.
You need to see a
for
doctor,
proper
and there are
review.
doctors who have gone to school and specialized purposely for this thing.
Okay.
You know, and so if you allow menstruation, something that is normal to women, to cause you to miss out on other things, then it's unacceptable. For all you know, it could be endometriosis, which is something that if not diagnosed early, you know, it's not one of those things that will heal itself.
Yeah.
It will get worse. You know, so the earlier you seek treatment, or the earlier you get diagnosed, then the earlier some form of intervention can be started, which can then help mitigate whatever is going on. You know, and so yes, the pain is part of the process, but that pain should not interfere with your normal daily activity.
Okay. So with the approved OTC medication, at what point, I mean, something like paracetamol is something I can easily buy over the counter. At what point is it an abuse?
So, I mean, and most of the adverts will tell you that after 3 days, if no improvement after 3 days, you should see a doctor. You know, so if you take paracetamol today, In fact, I've taken the paracetamol 3 times today, and the thing is, the pain is still there. You are getting weaker. You shouldn't go and take another paracetamol the second day. Go to hospital immediately, you know, and then get something done. And you see, if you have headache, and now the headache is associated with dizziness, you are vomiting, or you haven't been able to eat the whole day, I mean, that means that there's something more going on, because paracetamol is just a painkiller. Always remember that the fact that the pain has been taken away doesn't mean whatever was causing the pain is no more there.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, the whole point of OTCs is like take me there car tire, that small car tire.
Yeah.
You know, yes, you are just taking the painkiller so that when you sit in the trottoir and the trottoir hits a pothole, you won't feel the pain too much, so that you can eventually get to the hospital, not to take the OTC and then sit in the house. But more importantly, you should, if there's a need for you to go and buy antibiotics, then you know that you actually need to visit the hospital, because we need to know first of all that the antibiotic you are taking is the right one for the disease you are trying to cure.
Yeah.
You know, because all antibiotics no be antibiotics. They are yes, the antibiotics also have their categories and their purpose. So don't go and waste plenty money buying antibiotics that is useless against what you're trying to fight. What you end up doing is that you end up creating super bacteria.
Yep.
Think of it this way: we were treating malaria with chloroquine. The malaria, the Plasmodium became resistant to chloroquine because many of us were not finishing our chloroquine medication, so the malaria became resistant to chloroquine. We had to move from chloroquine, which was cheap, to artesunate amodiaquine, which is more expensive.
Yeah.
And now we are having to even use higher forms of treatment because again we are abusing the artesunate amodiaquine. You know, so it's happening in our antibiotic space as well. First, ampicillin will solve all our problems. Then we have to move from ampicillin. Now, amoxiclav is like everybody's go-to. Yeah. Somebody has a cough, 18, they go and buy amoxiclav. Meanwhile, amoxiclav is actually it's like a third-level antibiotic that shouldn't be available. In fact, even a clinic shouldn't be able to prescribe amoxiclav, but now everybody's doing it. You see, so that's how severe it is. Now we are having to go up to Meronym. A jab of Meronym is like 150 Ghana cedis. You know. So if you are prescribed Meronym twice a day for 2 weeks, can you afford it? But that's where we are getting to. You know, so if we don't get this culture under control, we are in for a lot of trouble. When you do fall sick, it means that we need more expensive medication to get the same result we're getting with far cheaper medication. So let's not encourage antibiotic use at all over the counter. That's a big no-no.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Owusu. I'm sure you have more questions you would like to throw at Dr. Owusu, but if you do, then Dr. Owusu, how do people get in touch with you?
I'm active on social media, Kelvin Owusu MD, or you can message our clinic page as well, Claron Health International, and you definitely get the help that you need.
Okay, so you know how to get in touch with Dr. Owusu. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Don't go.